Hello everybody, and welcome back to Silverstone. I think we're still in a nightmare. I think we're in a nightmare land. There is an ink jackal in front of us. A jackal made of ink. He, crushed our throat earlier. I'm sure some people are into that. So, just appealing to people. I get it. I want to know more about this, lads. Let's go do that. Only when the jackal sets me down do I realize how tight their grip on my neck was. Wheezes escape me as I try to shovel air into my system. The jackal pays it no mind though, instead closing their book and shelving it. I thought you would have arrived a tad later. Pity. I was in a good chapter. My breath finally catches up to me, and I hobble up to my feet, instinctively grabbing onto a table as I feel my knees weaken. You mortals really are frail. I forget about that. Don't get visitors often. My attempt at a comeback goes largely ignored, the jackal instead beckoning me over to some expensive chair. They tap a digit on a small green one, presumably to say that's mine. Despite my reluctance, I walk over and sit myself. The questionable candid heads into another room. Then another candle is set alit. A light? A light. From what I can glimpse from where I'm seated, I can see the jackal waves their hand to open up some cabinet doors. Are you craving anything? I've got tea, some gingerbread cookies. I'm not really fucking hungry right now. Oh, please don't be barbaric, Ezekiel. No language like that in my domain, please. I'm pretty sure I told you I don't want to be called that. The jackal walks back in. The kitchen candle blows itself out as they stride toward the red chair across from me. In the short time they were gone, they had a new pot of tea. Despite how old-fashioned this being seems to be, they own an electric kettle, of all things. Look, modern times is modern times, my friend. You did, Zeke. Zeke is so unrefined, however. I prefer Ezekiel much more. I'm not going to talk to you if you keep calling me that. The jackal lets out a mix of a snarl and a sigh, breaking their concentration away from me. It's hard to make out the jackal's expression, but if I had to guess, it would be unamused. They take a sip of tea before returning their gaze to me. You seem awfully calm for someone who meets an immortal being, Mr. Hames. Right. Well, this is all just a fucking bad lucid dream, so I'm just riding the wave until I either die in it or wake up. The jackal darts out of their chair, slapping me across the face. The shock is enough to throw off my train of thought. You hit me? My father never even hit me. No one's watched Original Gundam, I understand. They walk back to their seat, picking up their tea from the vanity they set it on. Language! I readjust myself as the candid sits back down, taking another sip of tea. The shadowy ink molding itself around their fangs hides the brew entering their mouth. Now then. Yes, this is a dream. Immortal definition. You retire to bed and enter a state of REM sleep, where your consciousness creates an escape for you to live in for about 6 to 8 hours. Yes, that's what a dream is. However, through our connection, I'm able to commandeer these worlds you make, Mr. Hames. The only reason I haven't done it yet is because you left Silverstone many years ago. You return in the catalyst to me hitching a ride, and very soon we will complete what you didn't all those years prior. I sit in my with my snoot out hanging open, unable to comprehend what this being is talking about. All I know is that I would remembered knowing, talking to, or hell, even seeing a person like this if I had encountered them before. The jackal's cloak almost scrunches as they frown, dissatisfied with my lack of response. A sigh escapes them as they turn away, almost in a pensive state. I suppose that my fondness wouldn't be reciprocated. It was pretty traumatic by mortal standards. Traumatic? Connection? You know what? Whatever. I'm going back. Maybe then whatever bullcrap you're spewing will probably make sense. Yes, I suppose it will. But don't take my hospitality lightly, Mr. Hames. We are not allies. We are not even supposed to be amicable with each other. When you wake up from this dream, I will hunt you down. Like a sociopath who tortures an animal for the first time, I will not stop until you and I are complete. What are you? What does this say? Expergiscimini? I don't know, man. I don't know how this word is pronounced. You all can attempt to tell me in the comments. Before I can finish my question, I feel my body fall into the chasm conjured below me. Images of the past flood my mind. Some are as clear as day, such as the day that Dad taught Mason how to ride a bike. Oh, sorry, here, let me bring down some of that sound effects for you. It looked really loud in the levels. And some are only fragments that'll cause something electrical to shoot down my spine if I attempt to piece it together. My brain pounds out of my pounds, and my insides won't stop turning. It feels like everything burns and aches and burns. I shut my eyes, pressing my wrists to the edge of my temple, hoping for this falling to end. I can only pray for this nightmare to fucking stop. Oh, okay, that's grays. Some nice bluish grays. I always like that motif. Those are nice colors. A light blinds my vision as the sun seeps into the room from behind a curtain. I roll away from the window, rubbing the back of my poor head, which has collided with the floor. A small whine escapes me as I curl into a ball, desperately reaching out for the blanket on the bed. Oh, this is a motel room. Also, holy shit, this wallpaper. My eyes. I'd hate to stay here. After miserably failing at the task, I slowly get up and rub my eyes awake. My nose scrunches as I can't help but snort up my runny snot, sorry. I get back under the covers to shield myself from the cold air conditioning. I grab my phone from the nightstand and unplug it from the charger as I check my messages. Do you guys do that? Do you check your messages when you wake up? I like to have my phone on airplane mode when I'm asleep because I don't like to be bothered. And even when I turn back on the internets and see notifications, I don't check them. Never mind. I divert to checking my timeline. Excuse me. Hoping to see some comics or jokes, and just anything to take my mind off that nightmare. It's hard to focus on the post, though, as the sound of shower water hammering the tub in the bathroom echoes throughout the room. Like usual, Kelsey is early to rise. The clothes that she had laid out for herself the night before have already disappeared from the drawer, and her toiletries have vanished as well. Finally, sensing it's time to get up, I throw the covers off of my legs and pull out a random t-shirt from my suitcase. Next comes the underwear and the shorts. And then finally, my own set of deodorant and fur products. As if on cue, the shower water's pounding turns to quiet tapping, and the screech of the shower handle overpowering it. It's not long before Kelsey strides into the room, still drying the top of her head. Her attire in her thumbprint, yes, on business casual like usual. I see you're finally up, sleepyhead. I groan at the lighthearted jab. Morning to you too. There's still some hot water if you want to hop in now. We're running late as it is. I'll try to be quick. Kelsey pats me on the shoulder as she walks over to the nightstand, picking up one of the brochures strewn across it. She sits cross-legged on her bed, letting her towel rest on her head as she flips through the pages. I'll try and find somewhere we can get some breakfast. It's gonna be a while before we reach PDX. I mean, I'm fine with just drive-through or something. Under my watch? No. We're getting some actual food, and not reheated hockey pucks and potatoes. I roll my eyes and exit the conversation, closing the bathroom door as I throw my fresh clothes onto the damp counter. The mirror is still fogged up from Kelsey's shower, and the muggy air makes it feel like my clothes are sticking to me. My boxers slide off without a hitch, but my shirt fights against my messy fur. It's always a battle in the morning just to take a shower. Once it flies off my head, I'm met with the same mystery I see each morning. The stupid fucking scar planted directly over my heart. I had asked my mom years ago how I got it, but she wouldn't entertain me. All I know is that I didn't have it before we evacuated, and I woke up with it, outside of Silverstone. Oh, that's a shower head. Mason suggested that it might have been supernatural shit. His historian-driven deep dives had led him to uncover some weird happenings from Silverstone. Honestly, sometimes it's hard to tell whether I'm talking to a history major or a conspiracy theorist. It can be both. Come on, those aren't mutually exclusive. Whatever it is, I can't look at it for too long. This shit gives me a headache. Fuck! I wince as shampoo burns my eyes, the results of my head being in the clouds again. You okay in there? Yeah, I'm fine. I lean against the shower wall for a bit, letting myself soak in the stream. It's only when a spike of cold water hits me that I quickly turn off the shower. Water drips against the tiles as I step out, before vigorously drying my fur with the only towel left. After a few spritzes of deodorant, I wrestle my new shirt on, following it with an old shark tooth necklace I haven't parted with since I got it. I slide my boxers and shorts on while I brush my fangs. The impromptu tango causes me to spin while I jump onto the ball of my left foot, cinnamon spit dribbling onto the floor. What? What are you doing, sir? One of these days, that kind of multitasking is going to get me killed. You almost done in there? It just hit 9. I spin into the sink and drop my toothbrush into it, finally managing to cover myself. Just finished. I take a dry part of the towel and fold it around my toothbrush, patting it dry before returning it to the room. When I come out of the bathroom, Kelsey is already on her laptop. Even when everyone else is on break, she needs to stay on a couple online courses to stimulate her mind. What you working on? I tease her, tapping the blunt end of my toothbrush on the laptop frame. She doesn't look up from the screen, or her typing becoming more and more violent instead. This idiot still hasn't graded my paper on fluctuating patterns in consumer interests. Fluctuating what? Kelsey slams the laptop shut, stuffing it as well as its charger into her bag. She grabs her suitcase off of the desk and rolls it to the door. We're a bit late, so let's get our stuff into the car. It finally hits me that we really are almost there. 6 months ago, I didn't think it would actually be happening. Even the past couple days didn't feel real in a way. But an overwhelming anxiety settles deep in my throat as it sinks in. The six of us are actually going back today, and for some reason, I feel like I won't be able to turn back once my foot hits the sand. I shift around in my seat as I look out the window of the SUV. Compared to Texas, Oregon is very, well, wet and green. Despite that, there is nothing incredibly interesting. Everything looks different, yet the same to me. The tapping of the steering wheel breaks me out of my listless trance, and I turn to Kelsey, her eyes fixated on the road. Compared to the other drivers, I've noticed that Kelsey is very safe when she's behind the wheel. It's reassuring yet alien. My mom, always, although she's a helicopter parent, would have gotten us into close to 3 accidents by now. You doing okay? Yeah, I'm alright, I guess. How do you feel about seeing everyone again? I hadn't thought about it much, to be honest. I try to find the words, but ultimately nothing substantial pops up. Nervous, maybe. There's no need to be. We've been talking online for months now. It's as if... I wait for Kelsey to finish her thought, but the car is only filled by the sound of tires skating down the open road. She's only half right about the talking, though. Mason, Kelsey, and Jake, not Jack. What am I thinking? Jake are relatively talkative in the group chat she created for us. But Silas, and I aren't very outgoing compared to them. It's also such a rare sight to even see a typing notification from June, let alone an actual message. I'm surprised he even decided to come back with us. Hey, can I ask you a personal question? My ears perk up as the cheetah addresses me. I'm almost eager to know what sort of details she wants to know about. Shoot! Kelsey tilts her head back a little as she gulps, before briefly turning to me with a sigh. Why are you really coming back to Silverstone, Zeke? You've been nothing but nervous since the moment we left Texas. A sigh of my own slips out as I turn back to the trees outside, letting my head rest against the cold glass window. Everyone else got to talk about their last week there. Except for me. I guess it's just this weird sense of feeling left out. Your mom didn't even tell you what happened? I scratch behind my ear and rhythmically tap my foot against the floor of the car. This isn't exactly a conversation I want to have, especially with Kelsey of all people. She wouldn't tell me shit even if I won the lottery. All I know is that one day we're living with Dad and Mason in Silverstone, and the next they're divorced and we've moved to bumfuck Texas. And I'm not... I am looking forward to seeing the others. I'm genuinely excited about that. But I need the answer. I need the answers I left here 15 years ago. The tense air in the car, what indicates that my answer was a bit heavier than Kelsey anticipated. We drive in silence for half an hour before the tunnel of trees turns into a concrete jungle. The once quiet roadway has turned into a city full of noise, sorry. People playing on the side of the road for money, police sirens wailing as they speed down the road. Ah, America. You name it, it's there. Kelsey elbows my side as I take in the colorful but cold sight of Portland. She takes a sip of her soda, letting out a sigh of relief once she's able to talk. Can you text Jake that we'll be there in like 20 minutes? Yeah, just a second. Hey, we'll be there in 20 minutes. I don't know who Jake is. Fuck yeah, just meet me by the baggage claim. Will do. He said to meet him by the baggage claim when we get there. Kelsey grips around the wheel tighter to the point where the leather around it makes an audible squeak. She lets out an exasperated sigh, taking one side of her hands off the wheel to run it across the back of her head. Great. Now I have to pay for parking. Hey, he and June are paying for the hotel rooms. It's the least that we can do. Sure. Do you want me to pay for parking? It's not much, is it? It's fine, Zeke. Her cold demeanor forces me to clam up, returning to my phone for the majority of the time we spent in traffic. Kelsey has a reputation for being serious, but it sounds like venom is dripping off her words for now. Did something happen? What? Jake. Did something happen between you and Jake? Ask him about it. The cheetah's eyes are firmly on the road, with one of her hands covering the right side of her face. Great start to the reunion. I stare down the highway, spying PDX in the distance. The airport looks almost the same as when I was a kid. You go on ahead while I park, okay? The jarring shift in Kelsey's tone pulls me out of my nostalgia, and I turn to her. Her face isn't behind a wall anymore, but her piercing eyes are somewhat discomforting. It'll be faster that way. Okay. Kelsey gives me a small and brief smile before dropping me off by the revolving doors. I attempt to give her a quick goodbye, but she speeds off once the door closes. The noise around me from the car and visitors starts to close in, and an overwhelming anxiety begins to grow. I scurry into the airport, hoping to find Jake and possibly some answers. I hate airports. I find that they're confusing. I always get lost in them. All the food and drinks are like quadruple the price outside. And I'm just like, I don't want to be here. It's confusing. It doesn't take long for me to spot Jake. The raccoon is sitting on one of the suitcases, while the other one has a greasy paper bag full of fast food placed on it. He eats his breakfast sandwich, scrolling through his phone. I think he's about to text me, but a quick glance up causes his expression to brighten out of the bored face he had. Look at this lad. Look at this small little lad. Look at this guitar shirt and, like, worn hoodie he has. This is my kind of guy. I walk up and he pulls me into a tight one-armed hug. A bit of his sandwich grazes the back of my neck, and I try my best to not shiver in response. Damn, you fucking grew. He isn't wrong. His hug actually ended up pulling me down a bit, something I didn't expect. His height doesn't match his personality. When we were kids, and Jake was the de facto big brother of the group. In a way, he was kind of like that to me. Before Mom remarried, she had to hire a babysitter to watch me. The babysitter was none other than Jake's mom. Being 2 years older than most of us, he was taller than myself and the rest, barring maybe Silas. Guess he stopped growing at some point, because now I'm tilting my head down at him, and he's on his tiptoes, wrapping his arm around me. It's good to see you, man. I honestly didn't think you'd come. To be honest, neither did I. Kelsey here too. She's parking the car and told me to go ahead of her. And Jake scratches the back of his neck with a guilty expression and draped across his face. I pick up the remaining suitcase as well as the food sitting on it. Everything cool between the two of you? She's pissed, isn't she? I didn't even need to say a word to answer that. The raccoon sighs before taking another bite of a sandwich. It's kind of between us, if that's okay. I might talk to her tonight about it. Well, if you say so. Jake starts to speed towards the doors, casually flipping me off while laughing. I almost tripped trying to catch up to him, but to my surprise, I ended up beside him fairly quickly. There's some food for you and Kels in there as well, by the way. A peace offering! I jest, as the raccoon elbows me in my side with a toothy grin. It's like 4 hours to get to Silverstone. I figured I could get you guys some shit to eat at least. God, you just had to remind me. Jake keeps turning to look up at me as we search for the SUV. He looks like he's stifling a laugh, so I reluctantly indulge him. What's up? Nah, it's nothing. I whack the back of his head, before, though harder than I intended. Jake laughs, finally stuffing the greasy sandwich wrapper into his pocket before massaging where I struck him. Sorry, not messaging. Massaging. Liar. Tell me. Nah, really. It's just, you got an accent. Huh? Yeah. You sound a bit like this. I attempt to ignore his very poor Texan accent. I don't know what that is. I can't point to a Texan accent. But he isn't wrong. Shut up! Hey, it's cute. But you get all the Texan gays with a voice like that. I don't think I want to be honest. We continue to search for the SUV. Either Kelsey parked really far into the garage, or she ditched us at the airport. What about you? You seeing anyone right now? Jake stumbles as I ask the question. I attempt to catch him, but he recovers and speeds past me, turning a corner as he answers. Not right now. Haven't found anyone I'm interested in yet. Shame. My last girlfriend also complimented my complained about my smoking, so I should probably kick that habit first. The raccoon finally turns back to me, looking a bit frustrated by now. Leaning on his suitcase, he pulls his cell phone out of his pocket, scrolling through our group chat. Hey, do you have any bars? I don't have Kelsey's number yet. No need to call. Jake jumps as Kelsey walks in from behind us. Despite the reunion, she doesn't attempt to put on a friendly face, instead crossing her arms and wearing a blank expression. I went looking for you guys, but I didn't see you. And that's my bad. I'd like to think I'm a good liar, but judging by both of their faces, I need to practice. You pulled Jake out of the airport. Yeah. That yeah goes on for a bit too long. Well, the car's this way. The cheetah turns before either of us can answer. We follow, trying to keep up with her pace. And Jake clears his throat loudly to the point that it echoes throughout the garage. Kelsey's ears perk a bit, but dart back down just as quick. It's good to see you, Kels. An awkward silence walks alongside us after that. The anticipation of Kelsey's response, being the only thing to cut through it. Finally, she turns her head back towards him. She still looks serious, but her expression has softened a bit. Good to see you too. Jake looks at me like a pet would. If his eye colors were just a bit darker, a good boy would unironically slip from me. Oh my god. Kelsey and I load the raccoon's luggage into the back, and he scrambles in after, climbing over the seat and accidentally kicking my headrest. Hey, be careful in there. Sorry. What's that? She points at the greased up paper bag in my hand, which I almost forgot I was holding. He got us some breakfast sandwiches. I'm not really hungry right now. You can have mine. I mean, I would just go like, lit, another sandwich. We're gonna go with that. I sigh, already fully drained after all 6 of us aren't even together. I don't want to subject Jake to the sight of me eating his peace offering. I take the sandwich out, just a plain egg, ham, and cheese sandwich, then stare at Kelsey one last time for confirmation. You don't need to get involved, Zeke. I'm sharing the next 4 hours with you guys before we meet with Mason and the others. I'll try to be nice. But Jake? But Jake what? Kelsey looks at me angrily for the first time since we left Texas. I jolt out of my stance, finally aware of how rigid I'm being. Sorry. The cheetah doesn't respond, just heading out over to the driver's seat. I stare down at the sandwich and take a half-hearted bite of it. I don't feel hungry anymore. Ah, you got 2 sandwiches! I'd still eat them. But alright, everyone. I'm going to end the part here. So I hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys around.